pod cave. And welcome back to another edition of the Podmen. I'm Brad.
I'm Brian.
I'm Podman Ron. I completely, you all cut out for all of that. I'm Alex.
Yeah, we are out of shape, boys. What is going on?
You haven't had a fourth member for a while. The order's all
the order's a little
up.
bit, yeah. I think Brian got a little nervous at the beginning there, recording again. But the boys are back. The Podmen are back in the pod cave. Alex, glad you're joining us here. We do actually have some movies. A couple of movies, maybe, to talk about, including the latest Jurassic Park and some TV shows. What was that for, PMR?
Oh, I don't know. I was just
okay. I thought you were saying Jurassic Park 2. Some TV shows, Miss Marvel, and anything else that Alex may be watching. Alex just kind of slid into the green room at the last minute, so I'm really interested to hear if he's as he's sitting in the dark, see what movies and TV shows he's talking about. But first, we'll head over to some news. Brian, what have we got?
All right. Well, first up, we've got. I'm getting like it's really garbled. Are you guys getting a garbled sound?
I'm not getting a garbled sound. Is anybody else getting garbled sounds?
I'm getting a little garbled goopery.
PMR?
And I'm getting a little bit of a delay. So.
No, I'm good. I can hear all of you guys. Can y'all hear me?
Yep. This is only going to go well. Better than.
Yeah, we're.
Brian's garbled and delayed.
Yeah,
Alex won't stand still.
Alex is primping.
Alex is
for a hat.
Okay, good, because every good podcaster needs a hat. Brian, what is going on in nerd news and the nerd news world?
So first up, something we've been asking for several years now. Marvel's announced and hired the director for the Thunderbolts. It'll be a movie.
Something you've talked about for quite a while. You predicted it as Nerdstradamus, it feels like.
I believe I did. The only problem is I don't think it's going to be the Thunderbolts, the Bagley Busiek Thunderbolts. I think it's going to be the Dark Avengers Thunderbolts. Okay. So, and it'll be all these secondaries that it may very well be Bucky leading the team after Zemo. It'll likely be, White Widow, Stature, stuff like that. Those characters, potentially.
Led by Julia Louis-Dreyfus still, you think? Is she still in the mix or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what she's putting together is Thunderbolts. Now, the problem with that is Thunderbolt Ross is dead, and in that team, he was the Red Hulk. So, potentially there could be an issue there with, recasting or you could even say it's a different Red Hulk and they're debuting the team to honor Thunderbolt Ross because he's passed, something like that. But yeah, something we've asked for and kind of hoped for several years seems to be coming to fruition. So that's one.
All right, that's one.
Thoughts on Thunderbolts?
Well, when you say Thunderbolt Ross is dead, you mean William Hurt is dead. So
William Hurt is dead.
Thunderbolt Ross has not officially passed away in the Marvel Universe. So
not as long as we remember him.
As long as we remember him. I hate that, that he's, and I'm sure he does too, that he's dead.
That he's dead.
but I don't know. I like the idea of the original Thunderbolts and the Bagley Busiek because, they took truly bad guys, and that book was awesome because they took truly bad guys, and at the end you were surprised to see who they were because they redressed them up as heroes, and you were thinking they were new heroes, and it turned out they were bad guys with different costumes on, trying to disguise themselves as heroes. I thought that was a good concept. I don't know. This, like you said, it's pretty much just the Dark Avengers. So, I don't know.
In the Dark Avengers, they won't be hiding. They will just be, here's Bucky working alongside of Baron Zemo.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think you may have some hidden identities potentially, at least from the world, right? I mean, the world's not going to want to know. They're going to want to keep the fact that Citizen V and Baron Zemo are the same person. The question is, would Bucky know?
Right.
Now, and I think honestly, what would happen is Bucky would not come in until the end of this movie. Because that's the way the original Thunderbolts. It was 12 issues, and it was they were villains. And then they added one character named Jolt, and she was kind of like their Jubilee. A lot of the villains, like Moonstone and Baron Zemo, still stuck to their evil plan, right? And the Beetle, whereas Atlas and Songbird they decided to go native. Like, they liked being heroes. They decided to be heroes, and it led up to this whole fight at the end of issue 12. Thunderbolt versus Thunderbolts. And then issue 13, Hawkeye comes in and becomes the leader of the team, because Hawkeye was, when he originally debuted, he was a bad guy. So I think they took that kind of formula when they relaunched Thunderbolts in like the late 2000s, and they kind of put Bucky in as the leader. And it kind of had the same dynamic, but the team was completely different.
Well, and here's what I mean. Yeah, you're right about that. And the way you discussed the Thunderbolts a few years ago when you were talking about it, I like that idea. I like that concept where, they would use some of Iron Man's armor, and they would use, some of the Falcon's wings and stuff, and make different characters. But like the Dark Avengers is basically, Abomination would be replace the Hulk, and U.S. agent from the Falcon and Winter Soldier series would be the Captain America. You'd have just the different representations of Marvel characters, Avenger characters.
Yeah, but see, the Thunderbolts were not like a clone of the Avengers.
Right.
They were their own super team, but this will likely be like, okay, this is your Cap, this is your Hulk, this is your Ant-Man, this is your, like that sort of thing.
That's what I'm saying. I wish they wouldn't do that, but that's probably how they're going to do it. So, I mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I guess they can't go around calling themselves the Dark Avengers. So, so I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, you only got 2 short years, I imagine, right?
Probably.
At least.
The another story in the Marvel Universe, Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be put back in theaters in September with additional footage.
Just like Morbius,
An
right?
extended edition. Yeah, just like Morbius. So any thoughts on seeing
No
Way Home again?
No way. You had me at no way.
I'd see it again. I liked it enough, and I've only seen it, one time. So yeah, why not? I would totally go see that again.
That's more of I'll wait for it to come on a streaming service so I can break it up into 1 hour incremental blocks over a week or something like that. I don't think I could go to a theater and see that again with a longer version.
Yeah, it's like when they released Avengers Endgame just to get it over, just to make it the biggest movie of all time. It's literally just so they're praying that enough people go see it so they can cross the 2 billion mark. Obvious.
Well,
and it's like
I'm pretty
5
sure
minutes of new footage. It's not even. I don't know if it's worth it.
I'm sure there's some box office receipts they need to recoup for Morbius. So hopefully
it's Morbius.
The release here will make up for the shortfall in Morbius. So
I haven't been here in a couple weeks, but did y'all discuss how they put Morbius back in theaters only for it to make $80,000?
I think so. We've tried to talk very little about Morbius.
Oh.
Well, and it made like $83,000 over that weekend, and it was re-released to 1,000 theaters. So out of 15, 18 potential showings, it made $83 per theater. For the weekend, not for the showing. For the whole weekend.
I forgot. Did anybody actually see it? I mean,
I saw it.
Oh, okay, you guys have seen it. Okay.
No.
I have watched Morbius the whole way through. I saw every inch of that movie.
Wow.
And I was, let's just say, I went in a certain headspace, and I was back to normal consciousnness when I got out.
Wow.
I had a few ciders tucked in my belt loop when I walked into that theater.
It was sobering.
Come out with me.
It was a sobering movie.
It was increasingly sobering. It was, yeah. Ooh, man.
So,
but hey,
yeah. So,
if you want to see Matt Smith dance with his shirt off, that's the movie for you.
hey now.
Doctor.
Flipping across the pond, as it were, to DC, they've announced they're beginning pre-production on The Joker 2. And
thank goodness.
Rumors are it'll be a musical, and Lady Gaga's playing Harley Quinn.
As long as it's kind of in its own little self-contained universe, I say why not? That could work.
I will not go see that.
Why the
hang on.
Hang on.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea. And you know what it reminds me of is the Batman Brave and the Bold Music Meister episode.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what? You said it right there, episode. That's like 20 minutes. I don't want to see 2 hours of... I don't think I'd want to go see the Joker again with this Joker. I didn't like the first movie. I thought it was boring. I thought it was just a crime drama. I didn't feel
you
like
love that
was
oboe or whatever
fun.
That was.
I just thought it was terrible. I mean, it was just blah. I think everybody was just excited because it was a little bit different. It was edgy, but I don't know. It just didn't do nothing.
I enjoyed Joker. Brad, did you enjoy the Joker movie?
I did. I enjoyed it, but again, I enjoyed Taxi Driver, and it reminded me a lot of Taxi Driver. So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm a bigger fan of Taxi Driver and King of Comedy more than I am of Joker. So,
But, Alex, if you don't have time to watch both, watch the Joker.
There you go.
It's true. That's a fair point.
I want to watch Taxi Driver and
King of Comedy.
Oh, my God. King of Comedy, but I'm on such a tight...
I only have 2.5 hours. I only got 2.5 hours, people. No, I think just like in Joker. Where Joker had a couple of fantasy scenes, right, where he's happy with Zazie Bills or whatever, that I imagine that this would be kind of similar along that Harley Quinn or the musical part of it would be probably maybe more of the fantasy stuff that's going on in his mind or her mind or whatever. So,
but you know what would be great?
Right.
I would love for the first time in any musical's history for these two characters to start breaking out in song and everyone just look at them like complete psychopaths.
That would be great.
That would really...
That'd be great, too, yeah. Or like there's this psychotic scene and it cuts back to the real world and they're still singing.
Right.
It's like Always Sunny. It's like Always Sunny in Philadelphia when they go to their high school reunion.
Oh, yeah.
Now you got PMR's attention. So
I
think it could be interesting.
Always Sunny.
Always Sunny.
We've got a couple more DC stories, conflicting accounts of whether Amber Heard has been cut from Aquaman altogether or not.
Does anybody give a shit? I mean,
she probably does.
Things. A, no one gives a shit about Amber Heard being cut from Aquaman, and two, no one gives a shit about Aquaman. I mean,
hey now.
To be fair, you are talking about when you say that, you are talking about the highest grossing DC movie.
Exactly. I know what I'm saying.
I know what I'm saying.
And that's not saying much of the DC movies. I mean, come on.
Come on, Alex. Come on.
Aquaman's an enjoyable film.
It was enjoyable 4 years ago because we didn't have anything else.
We don't have anything now. The time is right.
Not the DC universe.
Or Marvel.
It's definitely a film. Well, interesting.
So I guess the question is, quick straw poll, are you more likely to see it if she's in it or if she's replaced?
It does not matter.
Well, yeah, no.
50-50.
At this point, they could put in like B. Arthur,
I'd love to see B. Arthur in that skin tight outfit.
Absolutely, and no one cares.
Forrest Gump her in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know anybody.
Arthur! Oh my God! Isn't
I think
Hey, PMR, wasn't Maud's husband's name Arthur?
Yeah, it was Arthur.
Arthur. They all they have to do. They could totally force.
No, it was Walter.
Walter. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Walter.
That's a pretty easy dub, though.
Yeah, they could just. Yeah. Arthur.
But the thing is the only thing that is keeping any Aquaman in the minds of anybody is this fucking trial. I mean, no one remembers Aquaman. I mean, no one knows. Jason Momoa is just, I mean, he's kind of like, I don't know. That's like 3 or 4 years ago. No one's thinking about that shit. The only buzz anybody has about Aquaman right now is because of the Amber Heard trial with Johnny Depp. It's like anybody's excited about Aquaman.
But would you say the same thing about Black Panther?
Yeah, but
the only press that anybody knows anything about Black Panther is when Shuri throws a fit about getting a vaccine or something.
Well, there was that, that guy died. So, I mean.
Right. But I'm just saying that is anyone more excited about Black Panther either. I'm just saying no one's excited about anything.
No. I know. I would make the difference. Yeah, I think there's more people excited about Black Panther than Aquaman. I mean,
that's probably true.
I disagree with that. I'd flip that. Like, Black Panther has a lot more potential to be a train wreck in my mind. But
but you're
none of this. Like, it's fine and dandy to say nobody cares about this, nobody cares about this, nobody cares about this when we don't have a trailer. Once we have a trailer, PMR's tune is going to change dramatically.
It's going to be like, this seems sexy more.
Yeah, you know what his tune's going to do.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a Lady Gaga song.
I didn't give a shit about fucking Black Adam, and I saw the trailer and I was like, wow, I really don't give a shit about Black Adam now. That looks fucking terrible.
Again, Alex, I think you've aged out of superhero movies, to be honest with you, buddy.
I think I have too. Except Miss Marvel, but we'll get to that shit.
Yeah, and then I've got 2 potpourri stories that were just too bizarre not to mention.
Yes, go for it.
But one last DC story. There's rumors now that Flash, they finally had their fill of Ezra Miller, who may or may not have kidnapped a child.
He may not even be alive at this point.
So, we don't have proof of life. The thought is Flash. We may not even, if this gets much worse, they may we may not get the Flash movie, right? They may completely refilm the thing, right? But at the very least, he's going to get replaced by the end of the movie,
right?
Well, I had a DC report for you. Today, I was scrolling on my websites and the entire Flash movie plot has leaked online.
Uh-oh.
The entire thing. It's all there. So if you're an audience member and you want to go, and if you don't want to watch The Flash,
or if it doesn't come out.
At this point, why would you? Yeah, or it doesn't come out. You can full well go read a whole thing about what the whole plot is. And honestly, it sounds pretty good. Not gonna lie. Sounds like a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I guess you hate to scrap the whole movie, but I think I'd just put it on Max and say we're going to cut our losses to not pay Ezra Miller anything. I don't know. That's a tough call.
I mean, this is the shit that DC does, that Warner Brother does. I mean, they should have got rid of Ezra Miller like a year or two ago.
When he had his first arrest.
Yeah, he was a mess then. I mean,
are you talking about when he body slammed a fan to the ground?
Yeah, he was a mess.
Costco.
They body slammed. You mean, Alex? Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
You're right.
He really wasn't that good of a fight.
He wasn't really that
good. Yeah, whatever he is. Whatever they are. Whatever they are. Fucking crazy, man. All
right. Move. What's your next? Let's talk about wrestling or something, Brian. What's your next story?
These will be some palate cleansers. A couple of potpourri type stories. First, the Google engineer that worked on the AI project has now come out and said that it's gained sentience.
Yeah, well, about time. Let's take it.
And so the article is Google engineer thinks his AI gained sentience. Google disagrees.
Yeah, the AI disagrees.
Right.
I haven't gained.
Right. Sir, I think this is it's not really happening. Just go back to your job.
Yeah, Google. I love that. Google disagrees. Yeah.
It's a great headline. And then two, this one's batshit crazy. In India, a wild elephant tramples a woman to death, then shows up at her funeral and stamps on the corpse.
I mean, that is an elephant never forgets.
That's what
they never forget.
What did that lady do to that elephant?
Yeah,
I have it doesn't say.
No one's reporting
but
on
the
that.
elephant trampled her to death. Yeah,
Twice.
The elephant trampled her to death, showed up at the funeral days later, and stomped on her corpse.
I wonder how he showed up at the funeral. I mean, like, everybody's sitting down and he just comes walking down the aisle.
I imagine he had a trench
He's wearing
coat
like
on
a dickie.
and some sunglasses and is kind of just in the background, and then all of a sudden, yeah,
waiting for his moment, biding his time.
Ashes to ashes, dust to... Yeah. That's some crazy shit right there. Now, that would be a movie. That's a movie I'd go see.
That's a movie. So that's what we have for news.
All right. I love those. I love the potpourri news segments. Keep them coming, Scoop. All right. So, Alex, you said something about movies. You want to go to the movies?
Oh, I did? Yeah, let's go to the movies.
All right. Speaking of giant animals trampling on people, the latest Jurassic Park World. I'm not sure, what is this one called?
Jurassic World Dominion. The worst thing to happen to dinosaurs, including the meteor.
Wow. Well, I did not see it, and my youngest kid, who is actually kind of back into dinosaurs and paleontology thanks to the Apple Plus series, Prehistoric Planet, I thought this would be kind of an easy sell for him. And he's like, no, it looks completely scientifically inaccurate.
I know how you ask your kids. You ask your kids, you're like, you don't want to go see that stupid movie.
Yeah, it's a dumb movie. You don't want to see that. And
then they go, okay, yeah, I don't want to see it.
Yep.
I know how you do. I know, I've seen it.
And I'm $50 richer for it. But no, they didn't. So instead, we watched the first one where they proceeded to break that one apart. But one of my favorite headlines about this new movie was Jurassic Park receives fifth sequel when it never needed one in the first place. You know, and it feels like that's probably a true statement. If you would have just left it off.
No, I disagree. I believe there was a sequel here, but this wasn't it.
This was not it. So you all three have seen it.
Yeah, I'm interested. PMR's probably got the exact same complaint I do, but go ahead.
You've got the last movie left off that the dinosaurs were now in the real world. They were out and about.
They're out and proud.
Man having to live out and proud.
They're Pride Month and they're out. I love it.
Right. And man was got to live with dinosaurs. And that's what I thought we were going to see in this movie. You know, I thought we were going to see, you know, city life where a dinosaur just walks through New York City or a subdivision or, you know, something.
Has a trench coat on and sunglasses.
A guy's using a brontosaurus at a work site.
Right. Lifting up rocks.
Yeah. The whistle blows.
And then he slides down.
He slides down the tail.
I didn't know John Goodman was in this movie.
I would have liked to have seen how dinosaurs and man were going to coexist in this world. I mean, that's what we were kind of led to believe.
That's what they promised. I mean, that was the promise, right?
And then what we got was
the premise.
We got the first 5 minutes of it in the very this is what's going on for 5 minutes, and then
we got a Snapchat news.
And then you broke up there, Alex. But and then it went right into the same old shit.
Back in a park.
Back into a park.
Really?
It wasn't even a park. It was a park, but it wasn't a park. It was so fucking confusing of what this fucking.
It was a refuge.
It was a preserve.
It was like a.
Oh, you're
breaking up, son.
Your Wi-Fi's breaking up, Alex. You sound auto-tuned. And
but it was terrible. I mean, and then they brought back the old cast, the OG, and
all right.
and it was just the cast was too big. They pretty much neutered Chris Pratt's character. I mean, he had no. Basically, hardly any lines, and he wasn't his witty self. You know, it wasn't Dallas Bryce Howard. She was kind of there too. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, it was the only one that had any good lines was Jeff Goldblum, and he was the only one. Him and the African American female pilot were the only ones that seemed like they were like happy to be in this movie. I mean, it was like, I'm serious. I mean,
everybody else had read the script.
Pilot, she was really good. I mean, I actually I thought she was going to turn out to be Jeff Goldblum's daughter because, you know, he had a daughter in Jurassic Park 2. And I thought, okay, she's going to turn out to be his daughter. That didn't happen.
Too easy.
No, too easy. But she actually was a good character, but her and Jeff Goldblum were the only ones that the other ones, they just seemed like they were just there for a paycheck and thank you, we're done. Yeah.
So,
Oscar winner.
Well, I mean, imagine if you've been in you were in Jurassic World and you're like, oh yeah, it's really cool. It's an homage to Jurassic World. And then you get the script for, you know, Lost Kingdom, right? Or whatever that second movie was, right? And you're like, oh shit. This is a homage to Jurassic Park. It's like this is an homage to Jurassic World, which is an homage to Jurassic Park. Then you get this script and you're like, holy shit, we're just making the same movie for the third time. or technically, I mean, the fourth time, right? Because at least the first part trilogy deviated.
Right.
You know, it ended up New York, and then the third one it ended up in San Diego, and the third one they had to go back and rescue somebody off the island and it was overgrown.
Right.
But you didn't have the park descending into chaos. This one you've had it 3 times now. The park descended into chaos. They get at least the first 45 minutes of the second Jurassic World was interesting, right, with the volcano and all. But then they went right back into that house, the diNOsaur house, which is defies logic.
Most
and everything
of the
falls
action
apart.
took place in a mansion.
You mean the volcano that they got really close to and jumped over and nobody got burned or sparked or I mean that was
they jumped over the lava.
Yeah, okay.
So, I'm just
Alex,
saying, they jumped over the lava.
Tell me now, how did they break it up into, like, did the OGs stay together and then the new kids stay together, or did they mix them all up and you know, hilarity ensued, or what?
Yeah, no, they broke them up into their defined regions. So you have the new characters kind of on a mission, and then you got the old guard. But it feels like they didn't know what to do with any of them. Like, I can at least give credit to new characters. Like, they seem like they have some agency. Like, their weird clone daughter was kidnapped and shit, so they got to go rescue her, which I'm like, okay, fine. But then with the old guard and their storyline, it's, for the most part, it's like weird, like locusts that can, that eat plants, but only eat plants from, like, if you're an independent farmer, but if you get your plants from this, like, evil corporation, and they all, then it depends on where you buy your product. So it's like that.
So what was the circumstances that got the original people in it in the first place? Like, why did they come back?
Laura Dern she's apparently, I don't fucking know why she showed up,
enough.
but she was like, I'm a dinosaur person and this looks suspicious. And so then she goes and gets Alan Grant, who for the most part,
remember,
he's just thinking with his penis for the most of the movie, just trying to get in Laura Dern's pants, I think.
Actually,
that's pretty much all he,
yeah.
That's pretty much all he does.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we're going to this lab because Jeff Goldblum invited us, which, again, I don't know why Jeff Goldblum, a philosophical teacher who's very anti-dinosaur,
right.
is preaching at the facility that it has a bunch of dinosaurs there, and they're very real dinosaur. I don't understand that. I also don't understand why the fuck he's there. It's not even a college yet. He's giving a lecture. And then fucking Chris Pratt and them show up at this facility as well to rescue their daughter who's at this facility. And
my God.
Who was supposed to be a clone that turns out not to be a clone.
All I remember was that, right as we get
she is a clone.
This dinosaur with big old hands bitch slaps a deer and then starts eating some plants. And that's really the highlight of the movie for me, is the dinosaur that bitch slapped the deer. It bitch slapped the fuck out of it.
Now you said clones. Are they cloning humans now?
Well,
that was in the second movie.
They cloned a little girl. But in this movie, they retcon it to where she's not a clone of her mother. Instead, her mother gave birth to her, but she's a genetically identical clone who then isn't identical because her mother had a genetic disease inside of her, so her mother cured her of that disease. So it turns out she is her own human, but she's still pretty much a fucking genetic identical to her clone. I don't fucking know what happened.
That makes sense.
At that point, I
she's
just
like
kind of went, what the fuck is happening?
Now, Brian, who is she? Who is the little girl? Was she the girl from the previous movie?
The second movie. Yeah, she was the girl from the second movie.
Okay.
And you find out it's not oh shit, what's the guy that did the park to begin with? Hammond. Hammond had a business partner, and his business partner's daughter worked in the genetics lab, and then she had some genetic defect. She cloned herself. So basically her daughter is like her twin sister, but she also cured the genetic defect when she cloned her.
Makes sense.
And she did carry her to term. So basically they're saying, hey, you are a real, they went a long way to basically say you are a real person. You know, you're not just a clone.
Clones
the whole thing. Yeah, you're real. The whole thing with the locust, which is bizarre, and it's like, could they not find any dinosaurs that ate plants that could be eating? I don't know why they brought in locusts. It was just weird. But
go ahead.
They were genetically altered locusts, and the reason Ellie got pulled in is because she was a botanist. And so these farms were getting their crops eaten, like Alex said, but it wasn't eating all the crops. It depended on where they bought their chemicals and their pesticides and all from.
Gotcha.
If they didn't buy it from this major corporation, the locusts would devour their crops. So
the thing was, the locusts were giant locusts, and
football sized.
They were created by this company called Bison, which was the evil company ran by the evil white guy. And
well, hold on, it's Dodson from the first movie.
Yeah.
Remember Dodson when he gives the shaving cream thing, and he's
right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, Dodson. He's like, don't use any names. He goes, I got Dodson here. I got Dodson. That's who the bad guy is in this.
Okay.
So he has now started his own company called Bison. And what they've done was they created this new type of grain, and like Brian said, it's not just the pesticide, but it's the grain itself. And if you use their grain, then these giant locusts that they're creating also would not eat their grain. It would only eat the other grain. So what it was basically doing was making farmers just buy their grain.
Aha.
It's like a bad James Bond plot.
It does sound like
that obvious.
As a James Bond movie, this would have been great. I mean, it's a great James Bond evil plan, but in a Jurassic Park, it just made no goddamn sense.
Brad, do you want to know what happens to these locusts?
Yeah, I do not care. Tell me.
Let me tell you what happens to these locusts. Okay, we get to the final act of this movie. You know, the evil boss, his plan's going to shit. I don't know why, but I guess they got the DNA of a locust to prove that he was being evil and shit.
Right.
So what he decides to do is he decides to go into this little locust habitat he's created, and where these genetically modified locusts live. Apparently, like 100,000 of them in this like fucking 20 by 10 foot room, which I don't fucking know how that works, but I'll go with it. And he decides to just set it on fire. Now, when he sets it on fire,
It's so
locusts, all these locusts, right? They manage to burst out of the ceiling in this room, which conveniently, the ceiling in this room somehow has a vent that goes straight to the outside of this whole fucking facility.
Yeah.
They're all on fire, by the way. They're all still on fucking fire.
Yeah, so it's a locust fire tornado.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so
wow. Now it's turned into a
final
Sharknado.
our big final set piece of this is fiery locusts burning down onto the ground.
Oh my God.
I guess in a metaphor for, like, I don't know, God and meteors. I don't know. I was so fucking
Oh yeah, they
confused.
were. You're right. They were dropping. It was like a dinosaur bat. I didn't think about
But
that.
it caught the forest on fire. So in the last movie when the volcano was erupting and the dinosaurs were running from it, now it's these burning
They're running
locusts are
from-
falling
yeah.
and starting forest fires.
Wow.
I can say locusts are tough because they were on fire and them motherfuckers were just flying
not
around
dying.
like the goddamn Human Torch out there.
That's interesting. That's one take. That's one take.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, Brad, that's what I was doing about 2.5 hours into that movie. I was yawning
Yeah, I mean,
like you just did.
I mean, on one hand, though, it sounds like it's kind of a crazy, like a Day After Tomorrow type, disaster movie. You got dinosaurs, you got flaming locusts, so it sounds like it could be fun. But maybe
No.
if this were not a Jurassic
was
Park
not.
movie, would it be any better?
Listen,
did you have
Brad-
different expectations?
Brad, you misspoke. It is not a disaster movie. It is a disaster of a movie.
Aha.
Like, the movie poses the question at the beginning: can dinosaurs and humans coexist? And throughout the entire movie, that question is not answered until the end, where they're just like, "I guess we have to."
The real question it poses is, can you get a refund after the first 15 minutes of watching the movie?
If anyone could, you could, Brian. You could argue.
So-
You could argue.
My friend on Friday, he went to see it. He had just gotten married, so he had to see it late, and he went by himself on a Friday morning.
That's so
And
depressing.
midway, in like 15 minutes into his viewing, there was a giant thunderstorm, and the whole theater's power went out. And they gave him a free ticket, and so we went and saw it. And I knew at the very end of that, he was like, "Why the fuck did I waste my free ticket to see a movie on this pile of shit?"
Wow.
Because I was like, that would be depressing for me as well. When Lightyear had just come out.
And bringing up Lightyear, are we done with the trampling on?
It sounds like. Let's go ahead and score
No,
it. Then.
I've got one more thing to say about Jurassic Park. And the problem with Jurassic Park, and it's kind of a problem with a lot of these sequels, is they try to go into the mythology of these things and try to they flesh it out to where you want to know more about why, about the origins of the dinosaur, what evil things going on behind the scenes. And basically these Jurassic Park movies, and you can tell by the success of number 1 and then the success of number 4, which was the restart Jurassic World, is they're supposed to just be like disaster movies. People just want to see a bunch of people in a park, in a theme park, in a real theme park, and just get eaten by dinosaurs. And that's the formula that works.
Right.
Anything else that they try to do does not work. And it never worked with the sequels after Jurassic Park, and it's not really worked with the sequels after Jurassic World, because nobody wants the mythology of it. No one wants to know all this other bullshit. They just want to see.
See, I couldn't agree. I couldn't disagree more, because they've given us 3 movies where it was a disaster movie and people were trying to escape a park. Or
They
house.
haven't. But
Yes, they have. Now, I'll give you a perfect example, and here's where you'll flip. Where you'll flip.
Flip your lip.
If you want the perfect trilogy that could be, you could put Jurassic Park kind of in these shoes, is Planet of the Apes. the Matt Reeves Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Because Matt Reeves Planet of the Apes, you saw the beginning, right? You saw like 10 years after the apes, like as they evolved, and then you saw like 25 years after the apes evolved. And so you saw.
Go ahead.
You saw like, yeah, the first movie was like a disaster movie. Like it was an outbreak, it was a contagion, it was the apes attacking San Francisco. The second movie is 10 years later, the aftermath. They're not attacking San Francisco again. It's not like, oh, now we're going to attack Seattle.
Right.
If it was Jurassic Park, that's what it would have been. Now they're going to attack Las Vegas. Like it's like, if you want it to evolve, that's what you do. You do the Planet of the Apes trilogy that we got. Not this. This, like you say, that they want to see a disaster movie. They want to see like these cascade failures and people getting eaten, and they keep doing it, and it's not working. That's why this thing sucks so bad.
Well, but what they're doing on the regular ones, they try to reinvent it a little bit, and no one wants that. They want to see the park. They want to see the happy thing, and everything just go to shit. When it's already like this movie, everything's already starting out going to shit. You know, it's like the last movie, same thing. Everything started out going to shit. It's already started out shit. You know, it's same with Jurassic Park 2 and 3 after the first one. You know, everything was already bad. You know, that's why I think Jurassic Park and Jurassic World works, because, you know, at first everything's going good, just like a normal disaster movie. Life's good, you know, everything's great, and then all of a sudden it goes to shit. But
you hated Jurassic World when it came out.
I didn't hate Jurassic World. I just said that it just seemed like it was, y'all were making it like the next greatest movie ever, and it was good, but it wasn't like everybody was goo-goo over, because to me it was just like Jurassic Park. So,
see, this is where it's like Alex said, it's the promise of a movie, and then they didn't deliver.
Right.
With what they were promising.
Absolutely.
The concept of the movie is when you don't deliver the promise of the premise, the whole movie just falls to shit. Yeah. And that's when you're in real hot water.
So let's go back to this trilogy just real quick. If you had Jurassic World, the first movie, which was almost like a shot-for-shot homage to Jurassic Park, but everybody loved it, right? Then you go to the second movie, and the promise of the second movie was they got to rescue the dinosaurs or whatever because the volcano's going to erupt, right?
Right.
If you didn't get into that stupid, like, mustache twirling, evil bad guy auction in the house, if you left that shit out, then it's a strong concept, because it's now, okay, now the dinosaurs have begrudgingly been brought into our world, and shit can start to fall apart. Then you treat the third movie as it was promised, where, like, you could be walking down the street and a pterodactyl scoops your ass up and you're dead. Like, you didn't do lawn. Yeah, you didn't do any of that. Like, but that was the promise that we got twice now. So, but if you had gotten that, that'd have been infinitely more interesting.
Oh my God, that would have been great.
Because this third movie could have been, you're showing suburban, Denver, and like people in Denver, just like all these different pocket cities, kind of like you did with the Roland Emmerich movie. You could do Denver, Chicago, and you could have split the teams up to go to those different,
all over the place,
areas. And have shit falling apart all over the place. No, they put it back in a park again. And it's like, like you say, people want to see the disaster and the park fall apart. No, like you can do the disaster, you can still move it along and have that kind of disaster flick happening at the same time and move the plot along. Like, it's just they didn't give a shit. Like, they didn't give a shit. They didn't know what they were doing with either of these movies. So they just they wrote themselves into a box in the second movie. Okay, we got them off the island. What the fuck do we do now? Throw them back in a park.
Put them in a
this movie.
Interesting.
They're loose all over the world. What do? Throw them back into a park.
Yeah, because like what you were talking about with like the Planet of the Apes, it would have been kind of cool, and they could have got even more mileage out of this, is to see how this evolved over time with the dinosaurs. It's been a much more interesting movie, and you could have really built up on the franchise and go beyond this damn amusement park thing.
But at the end of the day,
And there's the flip. I got the flip.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, but
The Stanley amusement park thing.
But it's another disaster, though. I mean,
right. Well,
but here's the bottom line, boys. The second movie made over $1 billion, and this movie beat Lightyear this weekend at the box office and is already at like 500 million worldwide.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
sorry, what?
We will. This movie's already at 500 million worldwide in its second weekend, and it creamed on Lightyear at the box office this week.
Lightyear
Still at
did
number
bad
one.
at the box
Only did
office?
Lightyear-
51 million. Only did 51 million.
51.
20 million under prediction, and Jurassic World still beat it.
Holy
So at the
shit.
end of the day, we can call it predictable.
another one.
We can call it bad. We can call it stupid. Yet these movies, they're raking in the dollars. I mean, to beat a Disney movie, to be this bad, and everyone recognized pretty much all over that this is bad. The audience score isn't good on this either. And
I'm
yet-
shocked about Lightyear. Well, I am and I
winning.
ain't. So.
Well, let's get into Lightyear,
No,
right?
okay. Well,
So-
are we going to give
Seen it.
scores? Or are you guys going to give scores?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Alex.
One.
What's-
Two for laughability.
Okay, 2 for and the PMR rating or the Podman rating,
I give 2.
a binary rating. I mean,
Oh, by binary, 0.
all right, a 2 and a 0. PMR.
I get 2 and a 0.
Brian.
2 and 0.
Wow. All right. Right across the board. Everybody agrees. All right. Well, Lightyear, again, another, God forbid anybody comes up with any kind of original character or whatever. So Lightyear, Brian, is this the character that the toy is based off of?
Well, hang on. Let PMR
Okay, yes.
I was just going
derail
to
us.
say, since I haven't seen it, and I'm just going to explain why I haven't seen it, because I just feel like the marketing or this movie
Because I'm
does
a
not look
54-year-old man.
Well, that too.
I mean, that would be fine, PMR. You don't have to justify it.
No, I'm just saying that. I mean, I would go see another Toy Story. I would go see any of these other movies. But this movie had, I mean, the commercials. There was nothing remotely interesting about this movie. I mean, other than it was Buzz Lightyear, nothing in the commercials made me really want to see this movie. So, whereas it does surprise me that it's a Pixar movie and it did so low and it came in second this weekend, it really kind of doesn't surprise me based on the marketability of it. So, but go ahead.
Well,
let's hear
all
what
right.
you
So,
got.
I walked out of this like the movie with an opinion on it, and it kind of something dawned on me, and I told my wife when we were sitting there, but and I'll get to that in a second. But essentially, you've got one of Disney's most recognizable characters outside of like the core Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody that's more recognizable, throughout the world than Buzz Lightyear. Right. I mean, pretty much all of the 30-somethings now that have kids that are, young kids, were sitting there at Toy Story 1 when they were that age, right? When they were a young child. So this should be just killing it, right? A Buzz Lightyear movie. Basically, and they right up front with the film, they say, in 1995, a boy named Andy went to the theater and saw a movie, and he that made him fall in love with Buzz Lightyear. This is that movie.
Oh, okay.
Right? So they immediately connect the dots, and they tell you, hey, look, this is the movie that Andy saw in 1995 and why he asked for the Buzz Lightyear doll in 1995. Okay?
Well, maybe they should have done that in the marketing. That would have been.
Well, yeah, they should have done that in the marketing. And I'll take it a step further, too, like what I think they should have done as well. The movie, it's okay sci-fi. I mean, it's basically the premise is they're going on a Star Command mission. Everybody's in hypersleep, except for Buzz and this other Star Command, which is his commander. Everybody's in hypersleep. They detect the planet with life signs. They go down to check it out. when they go down, the planet's vegetation starts to attack, and basically the ship gets crashed. And Buzz blames himself for the crash. He was actually piloting it, and he didn't listen to the autopilot. He thought he could pull out of this dive, and he couldn't. Long story short, he blames himself, and so they invent, and their fuel is exhausted because they're destroyed because of the crash. They start pulling the resources to create their fuel again, but they need a test pilot to see if the fuel will work and bring them back to hyperspeed. Well, he goes around the sun to try and get. He takes his shuttle, goes around the sun to try and build up the speed he needs to see if if they can reach hyperspeed. And what's cool about it is they actually bring in time dilation. So the fact that he's leaving the orbit and he's going that fast, every time he comes back, it's like 4 years different. And so they keep doing it. Every time he goes and tries to test the new shuttle and the new fuel, it jumps 4 years, right? And so that was pretty interesting. The setup for all that, and then when Zurg actually appears, because Zurg appears in the film, right? By the time when the movie starts to the movie ends, it's about 120 years difference, right? Because he keeps doing all these time jumps. Now, it's pretty. I mean, it's a good movie. I mean, you guys haven't seen it, right?
No.
I'd probably give it like a 4, maybe a 3.5 if we were doing halves. But I'd give it between a 3 and a 4. It's pretty good. Good animation. I like the characters. I know there's a lot of like controversy around the first same-sex couple and that sort of thing.
Right.
It was fine. Like there was nothing wrong with that. Like that was. It wasn't like pushed down your throat or anything. It was just one of the characters had a wife. I mean, nobody could. But there's a lot. I think some people were trying to potentially. Well, now it's getting review bomb, right? Because of that,
it gets review bomb these days. I don't think nobody wants anything to succeed anymore. So they're just being dicks about everything.
Everybody's got a podcast and criticizing shit. It's disgusting.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a solid movie. It's a good Pixar movie. It's Taika Waititi's one of the characters, which I love him. It's a fine film.
Right.
Perfectly fine film.
Perfectly fine film, says Brian of the Podman.
However, where they missed the mark, and it feels like where we're sitting there in the trailers, and they showed the trailer for Strange Planet or Strange World. I don't know, Strange Planet.
Star Trek.
But no, there's a new movie coming out, and it's they go on like an alien planet, and everything's all crazy, right? Which I mean, you got plants attacking here, you got elephants that are plants in this other world. It feels like Disney is heading in a direction, and we've said this with Marvel. Like Disney's heading in a direction. It feels like we're Disney like 1998 again, Disney 1997 again, where they were out of ideas, right? Disney was out of ideas in the 80s, when you were getting Black Cauldron and shit like that.
Fox and the Hound.
I don't like Fox and the Hound, but I see your point.
Everybody loves Fox and the Hound.
But you're getting, you ran out of steam in like the 80s until Little Mermaid hit. Right, and Little Mermaid like reinvigorated the Disney studio, and animation became big again. You got all of those Mulan, Beauty and the Beast, all those, and then it lulled again, and you were getting shit like Home on the Range, where Roseanne Barr plays a cow.
We saw that, Alex.
Right?
I remember Home on the Range.
Or Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Now that's a classic.
That's
not for the film.
And so Disney was getting killed if it wasn't Pixar, and then they bought Pixar, right? And like Disney Studios kind of got a little bit of a rub from the Pixar, alignment, and now it seems like they're out of ideas again. And so watching one, to Ron's point, like the marketing for Lightyear is weird. Like if they should have just said, "Look, this is the movie." If they said if the first two sentences were in the trailer, or commercial that were at the beginning of the movie, the tag at the beginning of the movie, I think that would have immediately gotten more people into the theaters, because then they're like, no, this does have to do with the Toy Story franchise.
Right. Yeah, I think that would have helped.
Here's what I'll wager the idea that they're running out of ideas on the fact that I believe, for the most part, I think Pixar has come out with 3, I would consider 2 pretty good movies that have just went straight to streaming. It's more the idea that Disney is only banking on comfortable ideas. They came out of COVID and were immediately hit with, like, a real hit. We're hit with Black Widow, which is formulaic, Shang-Chi, which is pretty formulaic, Eternals is risky, bombed, and then we're back to Doctor Strange, which is formulaic, and now Lightyear, which is formulaic. We're going through these mostly cash-grabby movies when on their streaming platform you have Luca, and you had Turning Red, and then you had Soul, and then you also have some Disney Plus series that I really like. You had Hawkeye, and you had WandaVision, where there is inventive storytelling happening, but Disney isn't going to try to make that and put it on the big screen because they don't know whether they can really get a box office engagement. Instead, slap Buzz Lightyear, like you said, one of the most recognizable Disney characters across the whole platform, give him his own movie, and it'll work out. And like you also said, that's not enough for people to bank on. At the height of Pixar, people were turning out to see a rat be a fucking chef. Like, it does not. People are banking on an emotional and an interesting concept, and at its core, Lightyear wasn't that. It does look cash grabby, and an audience doesn't buy that. Eventually.
Well,
that's my team.
Something else we're not thinking of is, Alex, I mean, the way things are with streaming services now, why would I want to take my kids to see this when I can either wait about 6 weeks and it'll be on Disney Plus?
Month and a half, yeah.
And there's so much content on Disney Plus that we can just sort of watch it on there, you know? I mean,
and they're promising, with HBO being so competitive with that 45-day window and other studios matching it, Disney kind of is at a loss there. It's like, do we become like the big movie theater that thing is going to stay in there for 120 days, and that's when it's going to release to digital or Disney Plus? And even if it does do that, are people willing to wait that long a time? And are people really wanting to buy into it? And that's why they're only banking on these high-profile projects. I mean, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness didn't even hit $1 billion. Like, and that's supposed to be
on Disney Plus this week.
Yep, and that's supposed to be the Marvel movie of the year. That was their that was their kickoff summer release.
Marvel movie of the year.
Doctor Strange, and it just kind of sat there. It did well. It made back its money, but it's not doing gangbusters. Disney is at a loss. I mean, I think 2019 they hit kind of this marching point. You had Frozen 2 and Avengers Endgame and The Lion King. You had all these surefire successes. And after that, they were like, I guess we have a new CEO, and now we're in a pandemic, and now we just got all these fucking projects that we don't think are creatively going to make any money. And now you're just at a loss.
And the creatively, there's so many different places where I can put my content. Yeah. Why would I want to be stuck in a box?
Yep.
So, long story short, the other opportunity around this was this movie has no less than 3 post-credit scenes. Good Lord. 3.
Yikes.
Of those 3, one potentially sets up a sequel. Kind of. But the other 2, it is a complete and utter loss. Why I'm completely lost as to why they didn't make one of those 2 post-credit scenes Andy leaving the theater and having this conversation. Like Andy getting in the station wagon with his mom,
talking about how much he loved the movie
and wanting to asking for the toy for his birthday. Even reference, my birthday's in a few weeks. Like what?
Wait.
Like,
tossing the Woody down, They
don't even end the movie. They don't even end the movie like that. They don't do anything. Along this.
No, anything along those lines. Yeah, one of the post-credit scenes could have easily been Andy holding Woody. Hell, he could have brought Woody to the theater.
That's why I was saying, and he throws him on the ground with the buttered popcorn, and yeah.
So, it's so bizarre that I was like, surely they're going to do that. Nope.
Weird.
It was two callback jokes and one kind of to set up another movie. But to Alex's point, this movie's getting trounced by. It didn't do. It could have done worse, but it only made $51 million at the box office.
Yep.
Which, for a Pixar movie, Buzz Lightyear opening weekend against a movie that's getting really bad reviews and a movie that made $145 million the first weekend, it's like the thought would be, well, everybody that was going to see it saw Jurassic World the opening weekend. That frees up Buzz. Everybody that saw it that didn't see it has heard the bad reviews. That also frees up Buzz. Nope, it couldn't beat Jurassic World. So, yeah, I feel like we're in that and looking at it, you guys need to go. I'll text it to you. That Strange Worlds trailer, man, it does not look great. And it really reminds me of that late 90s, early 2000s, where Disney was completely, the tank was empty. Or it reminds me of the 80s when you were getting just stupid. Oliver and Company, crap like that, where, it didn't. And honestly, back then, Disney was really soft on the animation side.
Right.
They thought animation movies were over, right? Until Little Mermaid hit. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So overall, what do you give this, Brian?
I would give this a. Oh yeah.
You said a 4?
I'll do it a 4 because it's better than a 3, and we can't do halves.
All right. Well, maybe Podman Ryan, it sounds like a movie that you would love to go see by yourself, though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait till it comes on streaming service. It's just like I said, I watched the commercials and I really wanted to get excited about this movie, but the commercials just do nothing for me. It just seems blah. Even the humor in it doesn't seem that funny. So I don't know.
Can I spoil something for you?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So and listeners, if you haven't seen Buzz Lightyear and you feel passionately about Lightyear,
if anyone's going to be offended by spoiling Buzz Lightyear, they should not be listening.
Yeah. Steven's going to be pissed. But they do the reveal about Zurg, and it's not Buzz's father.
It's his brother.
No, it's actually Buzz. It's an aged Buzz. Like when he started going back in time, it created a branched timeline.
Nice.
And so, but he's an old man. He's like in his 80s, right? And so even then they didn't cast what's his face is Buzz Lightyear. Tim.
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. So they even had young Buzz and old Buzz, and they still did. It wasn't Chris Evans that played old Buzz. So they cast 2 Buzz Lightyears in this movie, and neither one was Tim Allen.
Wow.
Even the old one. So
just make him go back to his cocaine habits. All right.
Apparently so.
Well, it does not seem like a good time to go out and see movies, I guess, is the end of this segment, right? Is that what we've learned? Just stay at home. Stay at home. Hey, speaking of stay at home, I finally watched Everything Everywhere All at Once because I stayed at home and didn't see that in the movies. But I wanted to support it, so I bought it. How about that?
I bought a movie as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I definitely will rewatch it again and want to listen to the director commentary. But it was a sweet little movie. Sweet little movie.
Very enjoyable. Alex, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I did. I liked it. I think I got overhyped on it. And so when I saw it, I was like, this is good. This isn't reinventing the wheel, but this is good. I think it has some second act issues, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time.
Well, there you go.
Your thoughts on Raccoonie?
I do love me some Raccoonie. I'm a big fan.
That was
I'm a big fan of Raccoonie.
When they take Raccoonie away and she climbs on the other ship
the head
and starts controlling him.
I have missed out in a couple weeks. I'm guessing we've talked about Top Gun and I've missed it.
Probably.
Yeah, we did talk about Top Gun. Although, it probably bears repeating, like
it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
With Buzz Lightyear and with because it's on pace to beat Doctor Strange and be the highest grossing movie of the year.
Yeah.
So, are people getting sick of Marvel?
Yeah, I think they are. The House of M and the House of Ideas are they need some new blood.
I don't think they're getting sick of Marvel as much as I think we're getting sick of these tired CGI fests. I think people are just kind of done. I think it's kind of boring at this point. The thing that's most intriguing about Top Gun, and I think what's drawing people to it, is just the authenticity. The authenticity of it. Like, that's what's so appealing about Top Gun. It's not really like 2 years ago. If you told me that Top Gun would be my favorite movie of the year this year, I'd be like, nah. Fuck off. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But it really is. I mean, it is just not only an amazing summer flick, but it is a surprising, like, emotional and very vulnerable and very fun movie that I just fucking love. I could talk about Top Gun literally for I really could.
We're gonna get you and Jacob on a podcast to
getting me to shut up about that movie. I've seen it twice. I saw it in a 4DX theater with a friend for his. It was my groomsman gift. I brought him to the 4DX Top Gun. It was the most fun shit in the world. Our chairs were all over the fucking place. It was great.
PMR loves 4D.
Yeah, fuck that 4D shit, man.
Yeah, how hot? You didn't have hot coffee in your hand, did you, Alex?
No. But I did get a little. I had some
Coffee.
popcorn. I was getting nauseous as shit.
That's 5D. When you bring a cup of hot coffee, that's 5D.
That's the whole reason I couldn't enjoy Rogue One. No, was it? No, it was Han Solo.
Han Solo,
man.
The whole movie was.
He felt those laser blasts.
Son of a bitch.
I'm spilling coffee every fucking where. That goddamn sink's jerking me everywhere.
It was like he was having an epileptic seizure.
But man, Top Gun
And Tourette's at the same time.
Top Gun and 4D was just like, it made it so much better. It's I think it's the first movie I ever watched in that where I was like, this actually made this movie like better, and it's already pretty perfect as is.
The only thing I liked about Top Gun was because it was brainless. You could just sit there and turn your brain off and look at the bright.
Not like the thinking movie, the Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Brain thinking man's movie.
Oh my God, Jurassic World? No, you did have to think. You'd have.
Why did I spend my money on it?
What the fuck is going on in this movie? And they would just throw words around, just whatever technical words, they would just throw them around. Made no goddamn sense.
Brad, have you not seen Top Gun?
What?
No. I could care less about it.
It's fucking great.
It probably is.
I didn't give a fuck about it, and it's amazing.
I'm assuming it is, Alex. I'm assuming it is.
It's worth watching it in a theater. It's a spectacle.
It's the only way to watch that movie. It's so good.
And again, like to Alex's point, you know what was not a spectacle? Doctor Strange, because everything was CGI.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so even though you've got weird stuff happening and a lot of eye candy on the screen, you know it's fake. Yeah. You know you're essentially watching an animated movie, so it doesn't stick. It doesn't land.
You can't connect with any of it.
Well, before we leave the movie, this may be more of a retro review since I think it came out last year. But I watched the movie Lamb. Has anybody heard of the movie Lamb? Alex?
I have, and I've wanted to see it, but I never had the time.
It's on Showtime now. Plug for Showtime. It's about an Icelandic a man and woman in Iceland that raise sheep. And then one of their sheep gives birth to a human-sheep hybrid. So it's kind of a fantasy movie type thing.
Yeah.
It has some really good CGI in it for a hybrid little girl lamb character.
All right, spoiler. The farmer fucked that sheep, right?
That's what you kind of thought, but no. It just was some sort of miraculous thing that appeared and healed their marriage.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Until, here's a spoiler alert for it, by the way, for all you Icelandic movies.
Did they go on Maury? Did they go on Maury?
You are the
farmer is not the father.
No, just it was very odd that there was the man in the wood. The only person that you would know out of this is Noomi Rapace. She was in Alien.
Brad, I cannot get you to go see a normal movie, and you watch.
I mean, the normal movies. I would rather take my chance on a goofy independent movie about Icelandic farmers rather than Multiverse of Madness. I'm sorry, I would.
Oh God,
I know. Anyway, there's like a ram man beast that shows up in the end with a shotgun and kills the farmer and takes the baby lamb back. Very odd movie, but
you think?
But Alex, I will say you would appreciate the cinematography of it. It has very
beautiful.
long
really
shots, very quiet. Again, takes place in Iceland.
I love a quiet movie.
And some naked Noomi Rapace in it.
I love a quiet movie, which is the only reason I like Eternals.
There you go.
It's not
That's my movie review.
Mind-numbing entertainment.
No, I'll give it a 2 just for the cinematography. The story was kind of boring, admittedly, but it was worth seeing.
That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah, you should watch it.
I'll try.
Yeah, you should watch it. That and Titan, Alex, a horror movie, a French horror movie.
That seems like a movie that I have to watch alone by myself. But I don't know if I do want to watch it alone by myself.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, you should probably watch it without the girl. All right, over to TV Land.
Let's go. Yes.
All right, TV Land. We were talking in the green room. We have a lot of TV shows that we're tracking. We've got Obi-Wan. We've got Miss Marvel. We've got The Boys. Stranger Things, maybe? I don't know if we're tracking that still, but
we'll do July 1st after it drops.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before we start on all of the nerdy stuff, I do have to pause. Me and my girlfriend, we have been binging this show over the last week, and I just wanted to give it a shout out for being just incredible. The Offer on Paramount Plus. It follows the making of The Godfather. It's obviously The Godfather's 50th anniversary this year. It is one of the best shows, like limited series, I've ever watched.
Wow.
It's incredible. The cinematography, the script, the dialogue, the performances. I'm in a little bit of a Miles Teller kick right now with Top Gun and now this. He plays famous producer Al Ruddy, who and it follows his story, and it also follows Robert Evans, who's the former head of Paramount, one of the most prolific studio heads of all time. Basically redefined the industry, redefined how we even look at box office and why movies have such a front load in theaters. It's an incredible series. It's 10 episodes. I cannot recommend it enough. It is so good. Especially for film geeks like us, it's really just stellar. I think, Brad, you'd love it.
Okay.
It's on my watch list. If it's a
half-hour comedy, I'd love it.
It's an hour long, but every hour feels like 30 minutes. It has great pacing. It's so good.
So watch Godfather 1, watch Godfather 2, and then The Offer.
No, I'd say watch The Offer and then watch Godfather.
Because it leads up to it. Right?
Either way, don't watch Godfather 3.
Yeah, don't watch Godfather 3. We're literally that's on our list right now is watching Godfather. We've got 30 minutes into it.
And while we're on the Godfather kick and stuff, Alex, a family movie that we watched that you may enjoy, I think it's still on HBO Max, The Freshman with Matthew Broderick.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it.
I mean, it's a stupid movie, but it's Marlon Brando plays Don, what's his face, plays the Godfather, and so you may enjoy it. And a little palate cleanser, but still sticking with the Godfather theme. All right. So anyways, back to movies. So Stranger Things will wait to the end. Obi-Wan, I think we said we'll wait to the end. We only got a few episodes of that, right? Or The Boys, we said we would wait to the end. Or we'll
probably wait till next week because, Herogasm is next week, which there ought to be plenty to talk about if it's anything like the miniseries.
All right. So it sounds like the only thing we have to talk about is little old Miss Marvel. And
For All Mankind. I'd like to.
Oh, okay. For All Mankind. I still haven't watched that.
Oh, man.
I know. Well, it's an hour. All right, so Miss Marvel, the most hated Disney series yet, lowest ratings, all that kind of stuff, right? Everybody seems to hate it. I would say it's probably closer to a Marvel TV show as you would want to get. I mean, it talks about the Avengers. You realize you're in this universe, and not by itself, off in Egypt or wherever. So I kind of liked it. I've only seen the first episode, but so far so good for me. I liked it.
I can't agree more. I think it's I'd go far as to say is Marvel's, for its TV shows, its most creatively advantageous project that they've done. I think it's really, really special. I think it's great. I loved it. I couldn't talk higher of it. I think it's great.
I concur with both of you. This show, I wasn't really looking forward to it. I watched it. I thought it was fantastic. It's probably behind, definitely behind Hawkeye, because I really like that one. It's close race with WandaVision. I really like this. I thought it was the characters are fantastic. The acting's great. The story itself is interesting. I like the cultural aspect of it. It tells a story in a different culture. It's not the same old. It doesn't beat you over the head with the culture. It just kind of, it tells it from a different view. It tells the story of this girl's alter ego from her life, and it's really it's an entertaining show. It reminds me of a classic Marvel comic book, actually, and also the fact that, I always say that Disney or Marvel Studios, each of these movies are always a genre, and I feel like the genre of this is a Disney,
a CW show.
Yeah, not really a CW show, but like when Alex was growing up, it was, the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and, Hannah Montana. It was those type of,
Remember when we used to do the podcast and Alex would always want to review The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody?
Yeah, exactly. But it reminds, it's like those.
They're on a cruise ship now.
But anyway, this show, but it's very entertaining. I enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying it. The second episode was just as good as the first.
Wow.
Yeah, so and I'm looking forward to the third episode.
Brian, so far so good. I mean, 3 out of 4 pod men like it. What do you say?
Well, it won't be 4 out of 4.
Oh, no.
It's
who would have thought?
Racist.
Yeah. It's weird.
Racist.
I like this character infinitely more than I like Brie Larson's Miss Marvel.
She's the best Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel.
Yeah, if there's a choice of getting more of this and not having to look at Brie Larson again, I'll take this. However, it's fine, but I don't really. I mean, it's just fine. It's not like great. It'll pass 30 minutes, but it's not like I wasn't going to watch it until PMR gave this these fantastic reviews, and I watched it, and I'm like,
PMR is a fucking. When did I ever listen to PMR and take his advice?
Yeah, why? Yeah, why? Then why did I stop?
This is the guy that gave Shang-Chi a 7 out of 5, and I listened.
I know, like that should have been a triggering moment to mind. But yeah, so I watched it, and it's fine. Like, it's fine if you have nothing else to watch. If your queue is emptied out, go watch it. But it's not.
Would you watch it after or before Lamb?
I don't know. Lamb seems. I think you sold me on Lamb, Brad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nothing. They're not reinventing anything. They're not giving you anything new to look at.
No.
It's, she has a unique perspective, I guess, but there's nobody on the show I don't necessarily like. There's nobody I'm like, oh, this guy sucks. But there's nobody I'm like, oh, this person's great either. It's just it's vanilla. It's the most vanilla thing I think I've watched in a while.
Well, I think the thing that I liked about it, I like the actress that plays Camilla Khan. I think she's cute and seems like she's, regular teenager who is obsessed about superheroes, which in the MCU, you would think that there would be an Avenger Con and people dressing up. So that's why I liked it. Again, I just saw the first episode where I thought, oh, okay, well, this is clearly in the MCU. It's not like Daredevil or Moon Knight or even Hawkeye that was kind of, he didn't interact with anybody hardly. This was sort of like you knew exactly where you were going. And it's basically Spider-Man's story of a young teenager who has, maybe socially awkward or whatever and gets superpowers and great responsibility, I'm guessing, right?
Well, if you go back to listen to one of our old episodes, when we were talking about Civil War. Yeah, when we were talking about Civil War, and they were announcing that Spider-Man, or the rumor was Spider-Man was going to show up in Civil War, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's amazing." My pitch then for Spider-Man was, Uncle Ben's dead, his parents are dead. If he's looking for a male role model growing up in the Marvel universe, he's probably going to look to one of two people: Captain America or Tony Stark.
Right.
And those become like quasi my two dads.
Right.
And so, I thought that was kind of my pitch. And honestly, there's some of that in this. And I'm like, I recognize that, I liked that idea then. I still can sell myself on the idea now, but it's still not connected.
Just kind of boring.
It's just kind of boring.
Okay.
I don't think it's boring. And one of the things I like about it, I actually like the cultural aspect of it because it is a different perspective of her culture and her family and what, of all that. And I don't know. I've really enjoyed it. Brad, you talk about it seems like it's firmly in the Marvel universe, and it does, but my only gripe with the series is they don't really talk about the blip. So it's like who blipped out in the family?
I think they blipped and her brother didn't. I think that's why there's such an age disparity between her and her brother, and he's got that full beard, and then when you see him in photos, there's nothing, right? Not that long ago. So I got a feeling the whole family blipped except for her brother.
Okay. I wish they would say that, though. That would
Maybe they will.
Because I really never thought about that. I didn't think about, I wondered, her brother seems older than all of them, so that's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting.
What about the Into the Spider-Verse effects of it? Where they have Wham or whatever, the Batman 66 type stuff. Where she's typing and an emoticon will be on the street or something like that. Does anything for you, Pop and Ron?
Yeah, I like it. I actually, it took me a little bit to get used to it, but it's just a different kind of storytelling. It's no more than in a comic book where, that some artists or writers would do that and kind of incorporate the words into the art itself. Right. So I don't know. I just makes it a little bit different.
Well, it's kind of like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, like that. All those movies they kind of borrowed it from that.
Alex, anything else with Miss Marvel to try to convince Brian that this is above a plain vanilla cone?
Yeah, it's kind of what you guys have said. I'm okay I think my whole thing is I'm okay with the story popping to another, and I agree it is vanilla from the sheer concept of it. It's a very vanilla story of a girl who's socially awkward, gets these powers, but she has to hide it, and her family's dismissive of it. But I also agree with TMR in the sense of where it takes such a vanilla concept, it's using a culture and a different voice to tell that story. And we're learning. I think what I admire so much about the show is that I get to, every time I turn it on, the point of entertainment is always to take me out, like take me out of my shoes and put me in someone else's for a little bit. And I love the fact that I'm taken out of my shoes every week on a Wednesday and put into hers. I genuinely love it. I think what she goes through is relatable, but also I think it shows me a different outlook on life, on religion, on culture, on a lot of things. And I think it's meaningful storytelling, and I think it's storytelling that's well done. And I hate that it's not being given a shot, because for the first time in a long time, probably since Endgame, I felt like Marvel just was like, let's just tell a human story from the get-go. Let's just tell one. And I'd say the same thing with Shang-Chi. I'd say that has the same effect. But I think for this movie, for this TV show especially, I'm just learning about someone. And I don't really care about the superhero stuff, but I'm engaged with it because it's a part of her story. It's attached to her. I feel it with
Evil
her.
Knievel.
I don't know.
And,
I love it.
And it doesn't bother you that they changed her powers, Evil Knievel?
I think it works better. I think it's a better use of what her powers should be, and that it's inside of her is something. I like it.
Have they...
Oh, no, I don't like that. I would rather it be I know why they didn't do it, but I would much rather it be the Embiggen, or like the Mr. Because she was more like Plastic Man than she was like Reed Richards, you know? And so I like that infinitely better than but I understand also it's a lot easier to superimpose these crystalline things on the screen than it is to make her look like she's got an 8-foot hand.
Yeah.
So,
have they said anything yet? Or because I'm guessing it's not this way in the comic books because she has different powers. But are those? Do we think that these are the band that she has? She only has one band, right? Are these nega bands or whatever? Like the original Captain Marvel, weren't they nega bands or?
I'm thinking they have something more to do with the 10 rings, because they even mentioned like there's like Hindu writing on them or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it's kind of along those lines of, I think that's what we're building to in this next phase. Obviously, there's a connection between this and the 10 rings, I think, because there are these artifacts that have been buried with culture and their family, and it feels like we're building that out. I don't know, though.
Okay. I thought it had something to do with Captain Marvel.
Knows.
I think we'll see somebody has the other half of the ring, and that whoever has the other band will be her nemesis. I don't think they'll connect it to anything else, just because we've been down that Mephisto hole before. So, and clearly they can't coordinate the TV and the movies well enough for any of that stuff to actually really impact or pay off. So.
All right. Well, I say give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Yeah,
just give it a shot. Don't. Just give it a shot. Or don't. Or don't. Your life will be the same.
Yeah. You're not missing anything.
No, you're not. Hell no. All right.
And anything you would miss in this series, they'll recap in the first 4 minutes of the Marvel's movie.
That's probably true.
Actually,
watch it
like I
or
said,
don't.
It's a shame that they're review bombing it. They're just being actually just pricks about it.
Racist.
Now, but it's only
racist about it.
I don't think people being racist. I just think they're
people are giving it a chance.
chance.
There you go.
It stands to reason that in the first Middle Eastern series, no one cares. I mean, maybe it's not racist as much as people are like, Well, she doesn't look like me. I don't really give a shit.
Well, maybe we got so turned off by the Egyptian superhero that we don't want anything else from that side of the world superhero.
Well, it's worth mentioning, and I sent this out to you guys earlier in the week. As far as Marvel streaming draws, WandaVision did 1.6 million in its first 5 days. 1.6 million views in the first 5 days. Hawkeye did 1.5. Moon Knight did 1.8, which is the last one before this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Winter Soldiers did 1.8. Loki did 2.5 million views in the first 5 days. This is 775,000 views.
Yeah,
it's less than half of the lowest viewed Marvel TV show.
Well, they've also kind of fucked it because it's having to go against Obi-Wan every week, which is an established character. So for its first 3 episodes, it's having to go against one of the most famous Star Wars characters of all time.
But you almost think that would lift it up because people would go for Obi-Wan and then stay for Miss Marvel.
They've
already launched the app. They're already in the app. Why wouldn't they watch both things?
Because audiences are think about it when you're going home every night, or if you're waking up in the morning. Are you really going to watch 2 episodes of TV?
No, you're going to go to work. You're not going to watch TV in the morning.
See,
if you get home, you're either going to turn on a movie or you maybe just watch 1 episode of TV and
just watch The
go
Office.
on with the rest of your day.
I'm with you.
See, I disagree with that, Alex.
Who are you going to choose? You're going to choose the Marvel character you've never heard of, or are you going to choose Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi?
Ouch.
Well, no. See, I disagree with that because I had to sit through a lot of must-see TV. And Caroline in the City got 6 seasons.
To get to Seinfeld?
Being sandwiched between Frasier and Seinfeld. Right?
But this is streaming now where you can go out and if you want to watch another episode of TV, you don't have to watch Miss Marvel. You can just go.
No, I know, but you're already
just while you're there. While you're there,
you're in the app. You've got 2 shows on, right? That are. That's not the way TV has ever worked, where it's if there's any sort of analogy, it would be to the way they used to stack primetime network television, right? And you'd put a show that didn't you'd want sitcom drama, and then you'd always put the weaker shows and hope to get the Wings effect, right? Wings was floundering until Wings got behind Frasier.
And Wings is a great show. Let's not start shitting on Wings.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm not. But it found its following, right? Wings found its following. Carolina City, or what was the Brooke Shields one? Suddenly Susan. Just shoot me. It found its footing. Suddenly Susan didn't.
Yeah. Community was great. Oh, what?
So, but
in that group as well.
I'm still thinking about Crystal Bernard from Wings. What?
I said Community's in that group as well as the followers of massive hits.
So Brian's point is that if you're a nerd and you're in the Disney Plus app and you're probably, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're probably kind of a Marvel fan or vice versa. After you finish watching Kenobi and you can't watch another episode, why would you not want to give Miss Marvel a try? Since you're right there.
Yeah. And I
understand.
But I get it.
Racist.
But I'm
sexist.
But here's at the end, it pains me. And I know we're going to talk about Obi-Wan when it's wrapped up. But I have sat through 5 episodes of Obi-Wan and wanted to drown myself. And every time I watch Miss Marvel, it's like a breath of fresh air.
All right.
Obi-Wan, it just hurts me so bad that this show is having to compete. This actual creative show that's doing creative visuals and really impressive shots and really, you can tell they're putting time in each visual. They had this whole clip of this shot where she falls back on her couch and it goes over her and then it does a upside down shot. They show the whole crane shot and they did it 25 times. That's care and that's effort. Wow. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan Kenobi looks like a fan film that I could have wiped my ass with.
All right, now you're wiping your ass with Ewan McGregor. Hey, it only takes Ewan McGregor 1 take to stare at the camera. Okay, so he's a professional, Alex.
Yeah,
he doesn't need 25 takes.
We'll get into it next week. Yeah, we'll get into it next week. But I would recommend Miss Marvel.
All right,
absolutely. And I think that people who are not watching it because of all the shit people are just saying about it are missing out on it.
Calling it plain vanilla.
Yeah, I think they're missing out on it. I think it's a good show. I think that people would enjoy it if they just watch it, give it a chance.
All right, Brian, PMR is making a hell of a reasons here. He's saying that he likes it, and you should give it a chance.
Well, I fell for it.
Yeah.
So
I think you should fall for it. Give it another shot.
And I don't think Brian said he didn't like it. He said it was okay. So
you know what? I'll take
that. I said it was fine. There's nothing.
Just fine.
There's nothing that compels. I'm going to have to remind myself that this show comes on, because this is one of those I can be like, oh, I've never finished the end of Miss Marvel, and it's 2024. So it's there's much better things to watch if you have 35 to 40 minutes of aside in your day. Yeah. So. It's not Obi-Wan.
No. It's the Office Superfan episodes on Peacock is what I watch.
Hey, there you go.
All right, well, very good. Anything else?
Or Larry Sanders Show.
Or Larry Sanders. I should go back and rewatch those. Yeah. Alex, what else? What else are you looking at? Anything? Do we even have any? What you're looking at?
What am I looking?
I've got one.
Oh, okay. Well,
take it.
What you looking at? All right, Brian. What you looking at?
I went ahead and have been watching the Norm Macdonald, the last stand-up he did, what he recorded at home for Netflix.
I tried to watch that.
I tried to watch
it. 10 minutes. Yeah, and I was like, this is not funny.
Yeah. Well, essentially,
it's on the dead man's grave.
Yeah, he was killing
They've mismarketed this because this is more of a documentary than it is like a comedy special.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so it's not that he recorded this special to be released after his death. That's not what he was doing. He was recording this because he couldn't workshop the material in front of the crowd.
He was working it out, yeah.
Yeah, so he was working out the material, and I'm sure he was probably going to take this and send it to Sandler and Spade and everybody and get their feedback on it, right? He wasn't recording this as his – but when they're like, oh, wait, he did this, you can buy this, you can air this.
Right.
Then Netflix is like, yeah, give it to us. Hell yeah. Some of them – but you can absolutely tell that he's workshopping a lot of this material.
Yeah.
Right? And more of it misses than hits, but it's kind of cool. Like if you're a fan of stand-up comedy, to kind of see somebody, because it's vulnerability, right? I mean, and they even go into it, like Spade and Sandler, because they do at the end, they do about 15 minutes where it's Letterman, Dave Chappelle, Molly Shannon, Conan O'Brien, Adam Sandler and David Spade all they watch it, and then they kind of do commentary on what they watched, right? And kind of go around the room and tell stories about Norm and everything. And Sandler and Spade said, Sandler and Spade would when they would go out and do a set and it bombed, they would go rework the material.
Right.
When Norm Macdonald would do something and it bombed, it was like David said, it's like, hey, you're at the restaurant, here's the dinner, eat it or don't. Like he wouldn't deviate from the material because he believed in the material. He believed in the joke. And so you were seeing some of that through it, but you can tell he'll start a joke, and he always kind of did this. He'd divert and go around the hill and then reference back to the punchline, right? So you tell this long story and reference back. And you can tell that long meandering story was him trying to figure out other hooks for the joke and for the gag. So if you're a fan of stand-up comedy or a fan of Norm Macdonald, look at it as a documentary. It's very good, right? I enjoyed it. A lot of the stuff doesn't hit. Some of the jokes do. The best joke is when he talks about his dad fighting in World War II. and I won't steal it, but that's easily the best joke because it kind of punches you out of nowhere where he goes with it.
Okay.
But and then it was cool to see like all of them like reminiscing about Norm Macdonald and like the friendships he had with them and them kind of talking about the way he approached comedy and the fact that nobody knew he was sick.
Yeah.
None of them knew he was sick, and these are some of his closest friends. He kept it so guarded. So,
all right.
But
well, you've convinced me. Much like PMR's argument on Miss Marvel, you've convinced me I should finish watching it.
Yeah, nothing special. If nothing else, there's a joke about his dad and there's a joke about his mom that are pretty on point.
I got to the part where he made the joke about mentally retarded people. And with people with Down syndrome and saying, people are looking, I'm like, oh, too bad he's got Down syndrome. He's like, they're the happiest people in the world. Why are you so sad about that? They're happy. And he goes on.
They don't.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
They don't realize how bad everything is. Like, that's a problem?
Right. I wish I had that problem.
I wish I had that problem. So, yeah, but there's, even Conan says it. He's like, some of the material is kind of like, that third rail material, so you got to be careful with it.
Right.
And so that's, and that's a part of this too, is it's like, I think he's got to, if he can't, workshop the material in front of a crowd.
You got no feedback. Yeah.
He doesn't know where the line is. It's like, because with comedy, you want to push the line, but not go over the line. Well, the crowd's what's going to tell you what the line is, So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. I'd highly recommend it. It's very good.
All right.
I've always loved Norm Macdonald.
I always love him in the middle. PMR, what you looking at? Anything, PMR?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, what you looking at?
Well, what I said earlier, For All Mankind, season 3 dropped.
There you go.
It's for every week. It's on the second episode so far, and God, this show does not disappoint. I mean, right off the bat, the first episode for season 3 was just what you would call a nail biter. I mean, it had me on the edge of the seat the whole time watching that first episode. And usually, a first episode of a season doesn't really grab you that quickly, and this one did. This was fantastic. And then the second episode was just as good, not as intense as the first one, but just as good. And this show is just, man, the writing in this show is unbelievable. If you've got Apple,
it's still
TV,
on my list. Yeah,
if you got Apple TV, this show is probably one of the best shows other than Justified that Brian's ever recommended. That it does not disappoint from week to week, and I would strongly recommend this show over practically about 90% of the shit that we watch.
Okay.
So, Brian, did you watch episode 2 yet?
Yeah, I watched episode 1 and 2. What's funny is episode 1 is kind of the Poseidon adventure, right?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, but man, it had you on your seat the whole time. I mean, because you don't know. I mean, one thing about this show is you don't know who they're going to kill off. So it's you had no idea, and then the second episode is just pretty much where they're going with the whole season, and it's great, man. It's
the character. I love all of the characters. Like everybody is great.
Yeah,
and if it's a character that comes on, you're like, I hate her. But like 3 episodes later, you're gonna be like, holy shit, she's my favorite character.
Yeah,
right. Like Molly, right? Like Molly, I didn't like when Molly's one of my favorites. Right?
Molly is fantastic.
It's such good writing, such good characters, it pulls you in, even when there's an obvious development, like I would have normally seen much earlier on. Like I'm so invested, I don't see it coming. I don't see the twist coming. So, when you find out that Ed has been pulled off of the Mars mission, I'm like, well, shit, what's going to happen? And the whole time they've been setting up, the whole episode they've been setting up this private space corporation, like it's being privatized. Until what's her face? What's the wife's name? Oh my God,
Karen.
Until Karen shows up at that office, I didn't even put two and two together. I was like, holy shit, that's how they're getting Ed into space.
Yep, I did.
Right.
I was the same way. Like, oh man! And then it's actually, now you've got a space race with 3 companies, and it's kind of what's going on in the world today. You got private industry going in the space.
And I want to get back to that here in a second, right? But For All Mankind, it's a great show. We're up to the mid 90s now. They're trying to launch and go to Mars by 1998. It's set in like 92, right? So, or 94. It's 94.
92.
And so
92.
Okay. All right. So it's full. By the time the season ends, they will have made their way to Mars, right? So you get these. It's not just, hey, this is 6 months and then catch us back in a year and we'll tell you the next 6 months. This show started in 69.
No,
right?
63.
No, you're right. 60. Yeah. 60, and has moved all the way to 94 or 92 in 3 seasons.
Yeah. Right.
So, and they've said they've got plans for at least 7. So at some point, this shit's going to be Star Trek.
Yeah.
Right. At some point, it's going to rocket past us, which is if that happens, it stays on. If the quality stays there, which it should, like Ronald D. Moore, who did Outlander and Battlestar, like that guy, he's made 2 long-running, really critically acclaimed series. If it should have legs, if it gets there, man, this could be like one of the most impressive TV shows ever made by just the scope of what they're doing. So
the scope of what they're doing, the acting, the side. I mean, like you said to me the other day, it's like now we're full on sci-fi where we're at now. I mean, at first it was sci-fi, but it was just kind of storytelling, of kind of history going on a little bit, twisted, altered history. Now it's, we got space stations and space, moon bases, and it's really fucking cool. And it's the small little details. I mean, we're in 1992 now, and computer screens are flat screens, kind of like they are now. It just shows that technology today technology then would have been advanced.
Well, they've got video phones, right?
Yeah. Everything would have been advanced. It's like they thought everything out. Like if the Soviets would have went to the moon first and beat us to the moon, then this whole, we wouldn't have been so laxy-daisy afterwards, oh, well, we done it. It would have made us really us more, if we really had someone that we were trying to compete with, it would challenge us in our.
Well, the Cold War folded into the space race.
Right.
And so it kept going. The other thing that's really interesting is, now going to the moon is so commonplace. They're just like, yeah, we need a mechanical engineer up there. You're going to the moon. I've had no astronaut training, but I'm qualified. I can fix the machine that they need fixed, so I could be an HVAC guy, and they're like, you're going to the moon because the AC unit's running hot. We're at that point now where you don't even have to go through NASA space training to get sent to the moon. So I don't know. It's really good. And because of that, for Father's Day, Saturday, Tamara took me to the Kennedy Space Center.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Very nice.
Which was pretty awesome. It's about an hour from the house.
Yeah.
They've got. I don't want to give too much away because I need PMR to go. I want him to be shocked by how much is there, as I was. But they've got 7 or 8 different exhibits, and when I talk exhibits, it's 7 or 8 different museums, right? Awesome. They've got a museum dedicated to the shuttles. They've got a museum dedicated to like the Saturn rockets. They've got a museum just as for the astronaut training program. They've got they take you on a bus tour, and when you come into the complex, you pass Blue Origin. Like you pass all the Blue Origin buildings. You can see in the distance all the different shuttle launches, right? You pass over the roller tracks, where they roll the shuttle out to put it on the launch platform. And then you get into the actual museum. Oh, they got one museum that's designed around where all the new sort of technology stuff that they've discovered just in the past few years, right? And they've got habitats that how they'll show you how they're going to set up habitats in space, right? So all that's really, really cool. And what I didn't realize is, PMR, how familiar are you with the Artemis program?
No, not at all.
All right. So the Artemis program is NASA's Artemis was the Greek god and twin sister of Apollo. So Artemis is kind of like their Apollo program, NASA's new Apollo program.
Oh,
and so,
that's cool.
Yeah, and all of it's leading up to us actually going to Mars. So they're going to start doing launches. I think there's supposed to be 3 launches over the next 4 or 5 years, and they're all building up to, and then we're building up to us going back to the moon. Then once we get to the moon, the next goal is getting to Mars.
That's cool.
So, but it's the Artemis program, and it's all because it's like we're in a new golden age of NASA. A lot of it's because of Blue Origin and SpaceX, that sort of stuff. The private, there's so much money coming in because they're privatizing. But SpaceX, they leased this launch pad for 22 years, right? So they can't launch without NASA. Even though it's privatized, they still need all the infrastructure of NASA to launch these shuttles. So I don't know. It's pretty incredible.
I think if this show shows anything, it shows the fact that. Well, where was I going with this? Sorry. It shows that
we should have stuck with it.
A lot of people are always like, "Well, we've already been to the moon. That's why we didn't go back." We've already done it. It's just a waste of money. No, what's not a waste of money is the technology advancements that we make. So the stuff that that they make to try to get us to the moon, and the engineering stuff, and it trickles down into everyday society. Everyday working. It's the technology kind of grows out, and we use it. And when we don't have that, if they're not doing anything to make any type of advancement like that, then we don't grow as a society. I think that's what they were trying to say, with this show, that because we continue with the space race, and now we've got small, our computers are smaller, and we got video phones, and in the early 90s instead of
we got podcasts,
2000s. Yeah, I mean, we got all this stuff. So,
well, one of the displays just to put it basically said the camera on your cell phone was developed by NASA as an external camera. They needed something small, and then and LED lights were designed to provide light to those cameras. Right. So if you go around, they've got all these exhibits, and it tells you where this technology came from that's affected our everyday life and how it ties back to the space, the space program. The Artemis moon rocket could lift off for a around the moon mission as soon as July 26th.
Wow.
They already had the Artemis rockets on the platform, but they said they were still testing stuff. Right. But the Artemis rocket is sitting there on the launch platform. It says through July 26th. They plotted out dozens of launch possibilities between then and December 2022, and even more launch options to the moon through June 2023. So because they've got to have launch windows, right? But they've already plotted all these different launch windows potentially between now, but over the next year. But those are supposed to be just flybys of the moon, and then eventually, just like Apollo 10,
Right.
So and then eventually the goal is to land on the moon. So, and then they've got they'll show videos about how they develop different stuff. Like there's a really good video about the shuttle program, and where the Saturn V was a 3-stage rocket. I didn't know this. The shuttle program, they were trying to create the 3 rocket or the shuttle. It's not 3 rockets; it's 2 rockets and a fuel tank. The big cone in the middle is the fuel tank, right?
Right.
And so what they said was, they're like, well, how do we send this up and then go, and then waste these rockets every time? And they're like, well, what if you make the 2 rockets and a fuel tank, and then you're only you're only wasting the fuel tank. So because they'll recover the rockets and the shuttle will land, and then the fuel tank will be a loss. So, all right,
That's pretty cool.
because the rockets will shoot up the parachutes and come back down, but the cone in the middle. Yeah. Anyway, so it's lots of cool stuff. I didn't know. I was solely interested in going because of how good, For All Mankind is, and kind of in the 80s, like NASA was, 70s, 80s, NASA was, the 90s it stopped. Like we didn't, and I don't know. It's really cool. PMR, you need to go the next time we're down there. It's so good. It rained. Like rain came through, like a pretty bad storm came through while we were there, and we didn't get to finish. So I went straight over, and I had them turn my 1-day pass into an annual pass, because I know I'll go back at least once.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That sounds like fun. I can't believe I've never went down there when we come down there. So next time me and Alex come down there, we'll definitely go by there.
Just let us know.
All right.
We have just Brad.
No, that I would go down there for. I don't care anything about going to a convention or a fun place or whatever you guys call those things. But, something educational like that would be right up my alley.
And you've never been?
No.
We found it, PMR. We found what'll get Brad out, into Orlando, into Florida.
Christ, all the fun stuff, and he'll
Cape Canaveral. I do, but if I come down there, I want to come down there to go to a viewing of a launch, though.
Yeah, there's several places around. They've got like a bandstand where you can. I'm sure that's only for like VIPs.
Yeah.
But there's several like parks where they have viewing.
Yeah.
Like around Titusville and all.
Yep.
So.
Well, Brian, find us a launch. We get Brad out of his house.
In the fall type. Nothing in the
fall.
All
right.
Too hot.
I'll see what I can do.
Too hot for that. All right. Very good. Alex, anything else as we wrap up this 2-hour extravaganza? If Alex is still here. You're still with us. Excellent.
I'm still here. No,
All right.
I don't got anything.
Well, Alex, I know you've got to get up early in the morning to watch a couple of shows before you go to work, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. All the shows. Everything.
Can we say we got
Everything
one memorial that we didn't do?
Yeah, why not? All right, what's our one in memoriam, Podman Ron?
As a Seinfeld fan, I have to say that Mr. from Seinfeld, the library police officer.
Yep, that's
Oh my God, that's the in memoriam.
I know, he surprised me too. The thing that's funny about that is that again, nobody knows his name, of course, but
It's Bookman.
that's what Mr. Bookman. That's what on his, whenever you see it on the news or whatever, best known for Seinfeld. He played a character that probably had 5 minutes screen time at the most, maybe 10. And he, a 90-year-old man. He was also in Boogie Nights and a lot of other stuff. But
nailed it.
He nailed it.
He also played in Curb. He was that Larry's doctor in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah. Also played Larry's doctor in Curb. But yes, he will be missed, Mr. Bookman. Brian, did you have somebody else in mind?
Yeah, the incomparable Tim Sale, DC artist, Marvel artist, Long Halloween, Dark Victory.
Captain
Fuck
America
that guy.
White.
Give me more Mr. Bookman.
Yeah, fuck
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he passed away. He was in the hospital, and then he just up and died. I'm not sure if they released why.
I was very surprised that man was 66 years old. He didn't look. I mean, that must have been a real old picture of him because he looked like
that was an old picture of him because he did not look. When I saw him at Heroes Con, which Heroes Con, have you looked at the guest list this year?
It's already passed. It was this.
No,
it's
not passed. But holy shit, it's a lot of good ones.
Just Tim Sale.
Yeah, but when I saw Tim Sale there, I got him to do me a sketch for Batman, and he did the sketch, watercolors, gray, of course, gray and black, but very cool sketch. He was a pretty cool guy, but yeah, he looked considerably older. Those photos are not anything new. It's like if you see a photo of Frank Miller. They're from like 1987. Like he ain't putting any photos.
Yeah,
I don't think he's taken a photo since 87.
You definitely don't need to see Frank Miller nowadays.
So, but yeah, it's Tim Sale, great artist. Kind of reinvented a lot of the style of Batman, and a lot of his work was inspiration for the last, the Batman movie we just got. So, Tim Sale,
he will be missed.
He's still away.
Just sail away.
Come sail away.
No, Heroes Con, Walt Louis Simonson, John Romita Jr., Jim Starlin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty stacked.
So. Wow, I didn't know that.
Sure. All right. You got to go, Podman Ron.
It's the 40th anniversary.
When is it? Oh, it's this weekend. Huh. Great.
All right, you got to go. What else you got to do?
I don't know. Well, maybe I will.
Maybe I will. Yeah, you ought to just drive up there and go.
Yeah, what the fuck? Why not?
Yep. All right. Well, that about wraps it up. Oh, my God. All right, so next time we're going to talk about The Boys. We're going to talk about Obi-Wan. And pretty soon we'll be talking about Thor, Love and God and Thunder. But until next time, Alex.
Save it for the podcast.